Well, we get lyrical mention of the Mobius Strip at the start of the song, and immediately I start overthinking. The Mobius Strip is a surface with only one continuous side and one boundary. In poetry and philosophy, it's referenced as a metaphor to illustrate the inseparable connection between our inner and outer lives. Just as the strip folds itself into an endless loop, our internal world, that is, things like our thoughts, values, and emotions, is constantly mirrored in the way we act, speak, and engage with the world externally. The music video subtly explores this theme in its opening sequence, where XngHan is shown alone in a dimly lit dance studio. There's a quiet tension in the atmosphere right at the start, an emotional weight that builds as he begins to move, and then a striking visual dissonance unfolds. The reflection in the mirror no longer mirrors him perfectly. His real self and his reflected self move out of sync, as if representing two distinct versions of the same person. A kind of haunting metaphor for internal conflict, ideas about this Mobius Strip, the fractured sense of identity that arises when who we are internally no longer aligns with who we appear to be on the surface, especially to other people. To live authentically, the various dimensions of our lives must be brought into alignment. This doesn't require complete transparency or the revealing of every personal detail about you to others, but it does call for integrity, a deliberate effort to reduce the dissonance between what we believe internally and how we behave externally. Authenticity is achieved not from perfection, but from the harmony between our private truths and public selves, however possible, which is important when it comes to this debut. I was on ground zero following everything that unfolded with Rise, but I stepped back not long after the whole funeral wreath fiasco. At that point, I really began to question whether it was fair or I guess even compassionate of me to hope for XngHan's return to the group. As much as I hate the behavior of those who violently demanded for his removal, and their behavior shouldn't be rewarded, I reached a point where I couldn't ignore the long-term consequences he might face if he rejoined Rise despite the backlash. Re-entering the group could mean enduring years of ongoing scrutiny and the constant threat of targeted harassment, especially at public events like fan signs. At a certain point, I couldn't in good conscience wish that kind of stress on him for what could be the rest of his career on a 7 to 9 year contract. So, while a solo debut may not be the most ideal path in every respect, it does feel like the right one in meaningful ways, especially when prioritizing XngHan's safety, peace of mind, and overall well-being as a person beyond the idol. I think that's what this debut, like the song itself, is speaking to. The Mobius Strip is invoked at the start, but kind of loosely discarded. Lyrics like a madness in these familiar steps, a Mobius Strip endlessly looping all night long, flowers crushed on the chosen path, you slow down not finding the right answer. I think I know what I should do. I don't want to waste no time, no more. The concept of the Mobius Strip in this song is dismissed as hard for others to understand. Right as XngHan explains, he doesn't want to waste time anymore. What could this mean though? I think authenticity is a fickle thing when it comes to celebrity and really any kind of public-facing role on the internet. This is something that I've been thinking a lot about lately, and that I think Waste No Time speaks to in a very meta sense. The song does place value on internal and external harmony, but for the self. It's about existing in the present moment, not wanting to miss what's in front of you right now, and that is a hard thing to do if you concern yourself with whether or not people understand you. What happens when people don't understand, and in fact, go out of their way to misunderstand you in an effort to remove you from a group? Do you stop to explain yourself to everyone, even those who have no intentions of hearing you out and simply just want you gone? The want to be understood in an online sense can lead to self-destruction. Authenticity comes from within, and sometimes should stay that way no matter what it looks like on the outside to other people. I think the lesson is don't bend your own metaphorical Mobius Strip in ways so that people can see it in a light that makes sense to them. It is so unrealistic to do that for everyone, so very simply, the want to be understood and seen for who you are is universal, a very human thing to aspire for and to want, but largely unfeasible in an online sense. You cannot need to be understood. All of these ideas unfurl across a high-energy, electronic dance experience anchored by luminous synth leads and a clean, pulsing bass line that feels both buoyant and a little grounding. The production is polished yet emotionally immediate, bright tonal clarity that cuts through so cleanly. The song opens in a subdued and introspective space, musically the empty dance studio we find ourselves in. There's a moment of stillness painted with mellow pads and echoing textures, but within seconds, a steady kick emerges, like a rising heartbeat and persistent, pulling the listener into motion. As the pace picks up, shimmering synths gradually layer in, creating a rising sense of anticipation. When the chorus hits, it bursts with full spectrum color, bright, soaring synths and a melody that feels intuitive in a way that also feels inevitable. Like this moment was always waiting to be found. The sudden drop compels movement from the narrator and listener. It's the euphoria of emotional clarity and self-reclamation. Musically, Waste No Time is a moment of personal renaissance. That precise beat in your own story where hesitation starts to fall away and you realize that this is exactly the right path for you. A sense of purpose rushes in with a flourish. It's the sonic embodiment of remembering who you are after kind of losing your way, and the exhilaration of realigning with your inner self. There's no pause to this song. It urges you to leap forward, to trust in the momentum, and to allow joy and conviction to carry you forward. Waste No Time soundtracks the exact instant you decide to do so, with open arms and racing pulse, a lust for life. I am so happy with this. I feel the exhilaration of why this track was chosen as an opening statement. XngHan really seems to be reveling in this moment, and while me and SM Entertainment are not on the best terms right now, the sheer amount of control and support XngHan seems to have on this project is commendable. Genuinely, exactly the direction I had in mind when considering how he could continue as a soloist. XngHan had a lot of say in this debut, down to the writing, to the choreography, the decision to platform Seoul, to incredibly talented dancers as a part of the name for this project. So he's still with the team in some ways, despite going solo. When it comes to authenticity, it shines through in almost every aspect of this release. It's what XngHan needed, but really, this is a direction I would love for K-pop to go in universally, placing more control in the hands of their artists and allowing them to sculpt the atmosphere and vision of what they're a part of. Yeah, 10 out of 10, no notes. I hope this kind of attention to detail and support continues going forward. I really cannot wait to see how XngHan&Xoul grow and develop as artists and as a team together as time goes on. But yes, these are my thoughts. Great debut single. We also get a B-side in the form of Heavenly Blue. It's a more serene, I guess, house-influenced EDM pop track that blends very velvety kick drums, ethereal synth layers, and emotionally resonant vocals. The soundscape feels weightless and expansive, invoking a more quiet introspection compared to the title track. The song captures the kind of bittersweet essence of youth, a delicate interplay of yearning. I love K-pop songs about yearning, hope, and wonder. XngHan contributes to the songwriting here, channeling a very sincere gratitude towards those who have stood by him, crafting a kind of response to the exception when it comes to being understood from the title track, allowing room for those who are willing to see you for who you are, with reasonable boundaries, of course. All in all, a resounding declaration of the commitment to moving forward, living in the moment, and allowing what is felt now to guide the way. Thank you for watching this. If you did, let me know what you think about this debut, if it met your expectations, where would you like to see the three of them go in the future, and things like that. Yes, thanks again for watching, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time.